My name is Mark Tolbert, and I'm the owner of Best Practices Training. We've been providing PMP prep training to corporations, to government agencies, to some PMI chapters for 10 years now. We've been the preferred provider of PMP prep classes for the U.S. Census Bureau for more than 7 years, and we've typically provided 2 to 3 classes each year, 20 or more students in a class. And we've had very, very good success rates or pass rates with these classes. More than 95% of the students have passed the exam after attending our class. We've been providing a lot of classes to the Washington, D.C. PMI chapter. So typically, we've provided 2 classes each year for the D.C. chapter. 2020 has been a difficult year. Yes, no doubt about it. So lots of challenges to deal with. And for training companies like my company, we've had to switch to almost an entirely virtual format. And I think most of the PMP prep training companies are doing that now. So that's very difficult. The PMP prep materials are very, very dry materials. If you've picked up the PMBOK guide, you know that it is one of the driest, most cryptic, most abstract books ever. And that's asking a lot for students to sit through a virtual class, 9 hours for 4 days straight in a virtual environment. Pay attention, take very good notes, stay focused, stay energized. That's asking a lot. When I'm in a traditional class, face-to-face class, I can generate a lot more energy and I can read the body language. I can see when people need breaks and such. That's a lot more difficult, I think, in the virtual environment. And I think that's what people have had to deal with since April or May when classes started ramping up again. So we've got something I think that you might be quite interested in. If you are a student, if you're a project manager who is thinking of trying to take this exam, you know it's going to change in a big way starting in January. On January 2nd, PMI has advised everybody that probably 50% of the test is going to change. The question formats are going to change. It's not all going to be multiple choice questions, the 200 tricky situational questions with multiple choice answers and multiple correct answers. So that's going away. They're apparently going to be matching questions and even fill in the blank from a drop-down menu, other tricky things that they're thinking of throwing at us. We don't even know all of what it's going to be right now. They're keeping us in suspense. Also, Agile is going to increase in a much bigger way starting in January. They're telling us that 50% of the questions starting in January are going to be on Agile. So many students are trying to kind of rush in there and get this test scheduled and do this before it all changes in January. So what we're going to offer you starting right now, and I'm speaking to you on October 29th of 2020, what we're going to offer is a flipped class concept or a blended class concept. So instead of just sitting through 4 days, 9-hour days to go through all these materials, or go it alone, go it on your own by going through on-demand videos and doing quizzes on your own, we're going to provide a flipped class concept where you go through a day's worth of the videos, a normal day's worth of the class videos, and then we're going to have a review session or a question and answer session. So we're going to have 4 of these question and answer sessions spread over 3 weeks. And you're going to have the ability to ask us questions, and we'll ask you questions. We'll pick out some of the quiz questions and we'll go through them. We'll analyze them. We'll explain the reasoning of how you get to the correct answer. I think you'll find that very, very valuable. So you have a lifeline. If you've got questions as you're going through the videos, you can send us an email. and we will respond in a very timely way. We'll respond back that same day. If need be, we'll get on the telephone with you and explain things in a little more depth if that is needed. So in this flipped class concept, then we can do things in a little more concentrated way. And I think it's going to be more efficient and a better value proposition for you. So if you are interested in this, just send an email to the email address that you see listed there. That will come to me. We will respond back. Our pricing for this class is $797 per student. It's going to provide all the 35 contact hours you need for the application. It is a complete class. It is more than a 4-day class. There are more than 35 hours of video. There are more than 750 quiz questions and exercises on our learning management system that we will provide to you. And we will also add on the pmtraining.com test. So that's 22 mock tests of 50 questions each, and we'll provide that to you as part of the bundle. So this is going to be an excellent value proposition. You can go through all these materials, and this will prepare you to pass the test. Here is a little bit more detail about the flipped class concept. So I'm just going to leave the slide up. I don't have to read it to you. So I'm just going to leave it up for a few seconds, and you can check out what a flipped class is really all about. So again, if you're interested in discussing with us this flipped class concept, please reach out to us at the email address you're seeing listed here. Also, I will give you an opportunity to just check out our learning management system at no obligation, so no cost. I'm opening up a lot of the videos. So for the first 3 sections of videos in the class, so introduction section, the exam strategy section, and the project framework section, I'm making those videos now free or open videos to the public on YouTube. So those are following here in this YouTube broadcast. And again, I hope you do reach out and contact us. In the next week, we will set up the learning management system for you immediately if you decide to do this. And our first review session, as we're saying on the slide here, will be on November the 12th.
Hi, my name is Mark Tolbert, and I would like to welcome you to the Best Practices PMP Prep Bootcamp that we're delivering virtually on a Moodle learning management system, as you're well aware. Our class here is based on version 6 of the PMBOK guide, which was just released last September of 2017. And I think there's some really nice advantages for you to go through the class, to go through this PMP prep training in a virtual way. The obvious advantage is that you're going to be able to modularize all your training and make the training fit your schedule. Instead of coming to a 4-day boot camp or a 5-day class and being in class for, each day 8 hours, 9 hours of intensive training, where you're oftentimes trying to manage your real job at the same time, step out of class to take a phone call, have to respond to some urgent message that's an email message, even though you've left an extended absence greeting that you're not going to be able to answer those messages. That seems to be the environment that so many of our students are in today. So obviously doing this in a virtual way, you can work around those types of problems and modularize everything and make this fit with your real schedule. Of course, this needs to be compressed. You do know coming in that the PMP exam is a very difficult exam. We want to go in eyes wide open and appreciate that. Therefore, we want to compress everything just like we would if we were taking a 4-day class. You want to get this all done ideally inside of 2 weeks And if you can't do that, if you can't get through all this training, the 40 hours of video training, the 1,000 questions that are on the website and such, if you need a little more time, then of course take it. But really, I think the outside limit for what you want to do for getting this all done is 1 month. The reason is your main challenge is all the volume of information that we're providing in this class. The main challenge for students getting ready for the PMP is this volume of information. There's nothing real conceptually difficult on the test. We're not doing calculus. We're not doing quantum physics or anything of that nature. But there's a tremendous amount of information, and you've got to be very fastidious. You've got to be very organized about all that volume of information. So just a quick preview, how many processes are there in version 6? There are 49, and each of these processes belongs to one and only one knowledge area and one and only one process group. And there are 10 knowledge areas and there are 5 process groups. And you've got to know that mapping. You've really got to know the 49 processes and how they map into the knowledge areas and the process groups. And that's quite a bit of work right away. We really want you to memorize that early on in the class. So this is page 25 in version 6 of the PMBOK guide. There's the most important page at page 25, the process matrix. And as early as you can, you want to memorize that mapping of the processes into these knowledge areas and process groups. So that's part of the volume, but that's just the very beginning, because all of these 49 processes, they also have ITTO. Well, what's that? That's inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. And there's a lot in version 6, as we're going to be showing you here in just a minute. And you really got to know the key pieces, the key components of these processes. You're going to also want to memorize the key outputs of each of these 49 processes. Why do you want to do that? Well, if you know the output, you know the goal of the process. You know the purpose of the process. Once you've got that down, you've got that foundation, you can work your way back. You can reason your way back to the key tools and techniques for the process, and then back to the key inputs. Once you've accomplished that level of understanding and learning about all these processes, and it makes sense to you, the light bulb is coming on, it glues together. Now you've got the toolkit that you need to go after the tough types of questions that they're going to present to you on the exam. Of the 200 questions, they're almost all situational questions. And in these situational questions, they rarely do talk about an exact tool and technique or a process name. They're not literal. They're not going to use the exact ITTO or process names from the PMBOK guide. Nonetheless, you've got to have that down. It is your toolkit. It is your foundation for tackling the tough situational questions. You're going to do some translation from the tough situational question to this framework, to the knowledge areas, to the process groups. Once you can make that translation and that interpretation, the better answer out of the 4 multiple choice answers is going to become apparent to you. But that's going to take some learning, so let's get started. Okay, one thing to mention here about memorizing the process matrix, page 25. Yes, we do want you to get started with that right away, early on in your studies. We're going to make that a little easier for you, though. We're going to provide some nice videos. I think you're going to find them very nice. So these are videos at the end of all the training in the summary section that help you memorize the process matrix and spread that out over 3 or 4 nights. You can actually remember it faster, more efficiently, and you'll retain it better if you break that up into 3 or 4 nights. So rest assured, we're providing you some extra help in memorizing this process matrix.